Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Will pronounce to everyone. I was asked to speak on the topic of how to deal with adversities. Although it's mentioned overcoming adversities, we are not to speak anything about overcoming adversity. I will speak on not getting overwhelmed by adversities. We cannot stop rain. So you can only take an umbrella. Stopping rain is not in your hands. Nothing comes. But all you can do is you need to protect yourself from becoming wet. That happens by taking a raincoat and umbrella. Similarly, in this material world, we cannot stop tribulations. We cannot stop. What is that? What is that?
Adversity.
We cannot stop adversities. We cannot stop diversities. Adversity and diversity both are existing in this material world. Adversity creates trouble to you in its own way, and diversity also. Sometimes you have to deal with diverse opinions, different types of people whom you deal with. Everybody has their own expectations. Everybody has their own natures, and you have to deal with people of multiple natures, multiple expectations. So you can't stop. We'll come to diversity later, but adversity. According to the scriptures, there are three types of adversities, three types of kleshas. What are they? Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. What is Adhyatmika klesha? It's Adhyatmika klesha. Kitne Gauranga?
Isn't it like nature's like pond?
Adhyatmika klesha. Anyone knows? Miseries caused by body and mind. They are called Adhyatmika kleshas. Miseries caused by body and mind. Second, Adi Bhautika kleshas. Means miseries caused by other living entities. Somebody is struggling. It could be a mosquito biting you, or it could be an insect biting you, or it could be some neighbor causing some trouble. So, miseries or difficulties caused by other living entities are called Adi Bhautika kleshas. The third is Adi Daivika kleshas. Means miseries caused by natural powers, supernatural powers. Is some echo coming? So we can keep it up on this chair. Hare Krishna. So Adi Adhyatmika klesha is misery is caused by our own body and mind. Adi Bhautika misery is caused by other people, other living entities. Adi Daivika means misery is caused by supernatural powers. It could be extra heat, extra rain, extra cold, things which are beyond your control. So these are the three types of kleshas or adversities. But why are we experiencing these kleshas? What is the reason for experience of kleshas? That's the question. First, let's understand the reason, then we'll discuss how to overcome it. How many of you know the prayers of Queen Kunti in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam? Prayers of Queen Kunti. You know, prayers of Queen Kunti? This boy, raise hand. The blue bag boy. That's the only hand visible. Yes, Kirtani. See, Kunti Maharani offers a beautiful prayer in the first canto, 8th chapter. Bhavesmin Klishyamanana Avidya Kama Karma Bhi
अविद्या काम कर्म भी
श्रवण स्मरणार्हाणि करिष्यन्ति केचन
करिष्यन्ति केचन
भवेस्मिन् क्लिश्यमाणानां
भवेत्समानानां
विद्या कामकर्मभिः
विद्या काम कर्मभिः
श्रवणस्मरणार्हाणि
श्रवणस्मरणार्हाणि
करिष्यन्ति केचन.
करिष्यन्ति केचन.
He says, Bhagavesmin Krishyamananam. In this world, people experience so many kleshas, difficulties. Why? She gives a reason. Children, all of you are making notes, right? Make 4 boxes. Box number 1, put an arrow. Second box, third box, 4 box. And 4 box. Near box, Manika, Kirti, 4 boxes. Adults also can do it. Huh? It's not only for kids. That is more for you. You are constantly sitting with boxes and with notes. Therefore, I'm telling you, I mean, adults also can make notes. Very important point. Oh, she made a quadrant. No problem. That's right. Namita is right. In the first box, you write avidya. Avidya. You know what is avidya? Ignorance. Ignorance means not being aware of our own spiritual identities. We are spiritual in nature. That's the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Right in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna began speaking, what did Krishna say? Krishna said, "You are not the body, you are the soul. Body is never alive, soul is ever alive." Arjuna, although you are killing so many warriors in this battlefield of Kurukshetra, you are not killing anybody because nobody can be killed. They are spiritual in nature. All you are killing is only the bodies. So we are all spiritual in nature. We are not material in nature. Our bodies are material, unfortunately, and they have a point of creation, and one point they will die. But the soul is eternal. So avidya or ignorance means being unaware of the eternal nature of the soul. Ignorance of the spiritual nature of soul. When we are not aware of the spiritual nature of the soul, then we are in avidya or ignorance. Clear? That's the first step. Something already saying, I'm not saying. Avidya leads to kama. In the second box, right? In the second box, read kama. What is kama? Material desire. Kama means material desire. All material desires are caused because of avidya. When we are ignorant of our original spiritual identity, we'll have only material desires. If I am aware that I am Krishna's servant, if I am aware of my spiritual nature, I will have spiritual desires. But if I am not aware of my spiritual nature, I will have material desires. When I start identifying myself with the body, I will have bodily desires only. I want to eat this, I want to sleep here, I want to get a car, I want to get a bungalow, I want to get money. So our desires are centered on body only because we are identifying ourselves as body. But when you identify yourself as a servant of Krishna, a spirit soul, then all your desires will be spiritual in nature. So this avidya leads to kama, material desires. Avidya means ignorance of our spiritual identity, which leads to kama, material desires. Now this kama leads to karma. In the third box, you write karma. Right? In the third box, you write karma. What is karma? Material actions. When you have material desires, you will have material actions. What are material actions? Doing whatever is required for material enjoyment. Material action means with your eyes, you see some material objects, you get some enjoyment. With your ears, you hear some mundane music, you get some enjoyment, so-called material joy. With the tongue, you taste some food items here and there, which may not be offered to Krishna, then you get some material pleasure of tongue. So these are all material joys. When we bring our material senses in contact with material sense objects, we get material pleasures. To get that material pleasures, we do material actions. That is called karma. Some karmas are good, some karmas are bad. There is good karma, there is bad karma. There is papa karma, there is punya karma. Punya karma means good actions. Papa karma means bad actions. But both are material actions. Both are karma. Clear? Avidya leads to kama. Kama leads to karma. Now karma leads to klesha. Klesha means suffering, material reaction. Right? Your ignorance of your spiritual identity, your gross material ignorance is leading to material desire. Material desire leads to material action. Material action leads to material reaction in the form of suffering. And that suffering is of three types. Kleshas are of three types. What are the three types of kleshas? Adhyatmika, Antibhatika, Adhyaya. Is it clear? Children, is it too technical? First kama, first avidya, then kama, then karma, then klesha. Humanity says this. Bhaveswin klishya bananam avidya kama karma bhi. Because of avidya, we have kama. Because of kama, we do karma. That karma leads to kleshas. How to stop this? The next line is nothing. Shravana smaranarhani karishyant iti kechana. Shravana means hearing about Krishna. Smarana, remembering Krishna. Arhani means worshipping Krishna. Basically, when you perform bhakti, Navavidha bhakti margas, then that bhakti will destroy your avidya. The more you perform bhakti, the more you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the more you hear Harikatha, that hearing, that Shravana will destroy your ignorance. Avidya is gone. Then karma is transformed, then there is no klesha. Okay. Write one more series box. You wrote 4 boxes, right? Under them, you write 4 more boxes. You make 4 more boxes. Same, in the same line, parallel to it. Yes, Viti, right. Just below that, make one more strip with 4 boxes. In the first box, you write Vidya, not avidya. What was avidya? Ignorance. Ignorance of your spiritual identity. Vidya means knowledge, opposite of it. There is awareness of your spiritual identity. You understand that you are a spirit soul, you are not material body. That is Vidya. Vidya means spiritual knowledge, opposite of material ignorance. And that Vidya leads to Kama. What kind of Kama? Spiritual desire, not material desire. This Kama in the second box, second flowchart, is not material Kama, it is spiritual Kama, spiritual desires. Then the Kama leads to Karma. What kind of karma? Spiritual karma, not material karma. Spiritual actions. Mat karma krin mat paramo mat bhaktaha sangavajitaha. So we perform activities that are pleasing to Krishna. Or don't write karma there because you get confused later. Seeing this flowchart. Write seva there. In the second flowchart, the third box, you write seva instead of karma. They are bhakti karmas. Actually, karmas are of 3 types, you know. One is papa karma, second is punya karma, third is bhakti karma. Papa karma means simple actions. Punya karma means pious actions. Bhakti karma means devotional actions, spiritual actions. This papa karma and punya karma both are in a material plane only. But bhakti karma is on a spiritual plane. So we need to perform devotional actions and not materially pious or impious actions. So in the second series, first is Vidya, not Vidya. That Vidya leads to Kamas or an inclination to serve Krishna. That is spiritual desire. You will have spiritual desires. And that will lead to Seva. And that Seva leads to what is there in the 4th box in the first project? Kleshas. Opposite of Klesha is Ananda. That Seva leads to Ananda. So Sukham Kartuvam, you will get bliss. Right? So you want to be in the first flowchart or second flowchart? That's what bhakti is. Class is over. Tell me how to deal with adversity. This is how we deal with adversity. In the first flowchart, we have seen the reason for adversity. What's the reason? Avidya. Avidya leads to kama, kama leads to karma leads to adversity, klesha. But you enter the second flowchart. Make that avidya into vidya. By Shravanam, by hearing about Krishna, by worshipping Krishna. So you develop spiritual knowledge by hearing scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you convert that avidya into vidya. And based on that vidya, based on that spiritual knowledge, spiritual education, you develop spiritual desires. And with those spiritual desires, you perform spiritual activities in the form of bhakti, seva. You sell prasadam to devotees. You do Vaishnava seva. You worship deities. You chant Hare Krishna. You do kirtan. All this is seva. And that seva will lead to ananda. And we will enter our Sachidananda forms in the spiritual world. This is how we need to deal with adversity. But what I spoke is only the philosophical angle of it. Let's come to practical angle. Right? The class is very clear. On paper, it looks very nice. Two flow charts. There's something more to it. Yeah. When you're actually practicing bhakti, then you're in the second box. In the second project, second box, where you have spiritual desires, spiritual inclinations, spiritual aspirations to serve Krishna. And when you enter the third box, where you're actually doing seva, that's where problem begins. As sadhaka, you are doing seva with other devotees. This devotee wants to do seva in this way, and that devotee wants to do seva in another way. Both want to do seva only. But the flavors of two devotees' services will create some conflict, will create some friction, right? That's where diversity comes into picture. So far we have seen adversity, now this is diversity. Diverse opinions. Somebody is fast in seva, somebody is slow in seva. Somebody is dynamic in seva, somebody is static in seva. Somebody wants to do aram seva. Somebody wants to rush. Let's finish this fast. Amazing. So when we have to deal with different people of different natures, that dealing will create more adversity, more difficulty, more problem. Then we'll find bhakti, devotional life itself is problematic. Bhakti is never causes problem. But a bhakta who has different kinds of aspiration will create problem. Okay, many thoughts are coming in my mind, but I have to streamline it. This note will help you. You know how many kinds of bhaktis are there? You keep writing, children. Fresh page. Number one, Artha Bhakti. Artha Bhakti means somebody will come to the process of bhakti only to destroy their difficulties. Why are they worshipping Krishna? Why are they chanting Hare Krishna? Their only motive is to destroy distresses, to deal with adversities. I have so many kleshas, just to mitigate these problems in my life, let me worship Krishna. That is Artha Bhakti. Artha Bhakti are relief seekers. मंदिर गया तो शांति मिलता है. They go to mandir only for shanti, not bhakti. Seva, only for shanti. Because they are so overwhelmed with adversities, so overwhelmed with distresses, they feel that I need some relief, I need some liberation. The relief seekers, they are called Artha Bhaktas. First category, Artha Bhakta. Second category, Jignasu. They are very curious. Why Krishna is blue in color? Why he wears yellow dhoti only? If scripture says that he wears yellow dhoti, why on the altar he is wearing pink dhoti today? Why he is wearing peacock feather? Why his garland is set up like this? Why he can't stand straight? Okay, what is the RAM of this phone or this laptop? So they are materially inquisitive. That material curiosity will come into spiritual line also. They are called Jignasu Bhaktas. Jignasu Bhaktas means those who are curious. You know, children are getting confused. Artha Bhakta means those who are in distress. They seek relief. Therefore, they do bhakti. Second category, Jignasu Bhakta. They are very curious. They are too inquisitive about so many things. That is second category. Third category. Now, second category, they are curious about everything. They are curious about material things also. Why is saffron bottle? So how does this might function? They have different questions, and those questions and their inquiries come into spiritual life also. That is second category. Third category is Artharthi. They want money, they want wealth, they want power, they want position. They are wealth seekers, power seekers, influence seekers, like Dhruva. That is third category, Artharthi. Artha means wealth. Arthi means one who desires wealth. Artha. Fourth category, Gnani. Gnani means one who is wise, one who has some intelligence. Thoda dimag. That's fourth category. You want more categories? Huh? More categories? Okay. Fifth, we write. Karma Mishra Bhakta. Karma Mishra Bhakta means their bhakti is ended with karma. Means their focus is on karma. They are attached to do some activities and they are very much inclined to perform a certain kind of activity and they do it by mixing it with devotion. You like painting. You're focusing on painting, not on Krishna. But because you like painting, you do it for Krishna also. But in Karma Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti is definitely prominent, but some karmic tendencies are mixed there. It's not only attachment to the karma, it is attachment to the fruits of karma also. Karma Mishra Bhakti means your bhakti is prominent, but you are little result oriented. You are attached to producing certain result. There are many technicalities, but just understand this much. In Karma Mishra Bhakti, bhakti is not pure. That bhakti is mixed with some karma tendencies. Right? Then second, sixth, right? Sixth category. You should tell me the number, otherwise I'll forget. Sixth category. Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Jnana Mishra Bhakti means you have bhakti, but that's not pure bhakti. That bhakti is tinged with some intellectual tendencies. You have some devotion to Krishna, no doubt, but you're overly intellectual, overly philosophical, constantly analytical. You keep on doing analysis only to that will lead to paralysis. Paralysis by analysis, Prabhu says. Too intellectual, too philosophical, pura dhuma dhuma thing. If you say like this, you will not be satisfied. You should do like then after so much of analysis only you will be satisfied. That's like Jnana tendencies. That is Jnana Mishra. Third is Yoga Mishra. Oh, sorry, seventh. And the Mishra category third. No, it's seventh. Seventh is Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Yoga Mishra Bhakti means these people have some attachment to mystic powers. They do bhakti, but they want siddhis. They want some perfections. They're aspiring for some powers and influence and vibhutis. So they are attached to mystic powers and perfections. They are perfectionists, right? That is Yoga Mishra. Now, eighth category. You're getting exhausted? Now you can check which category you belong to. Finish the list. The eighth category is Bhakti Mishra Karma. You're reversing the direction. Bhakti Mishra Karma means karma is prominent, bhakti is secondary. In Karma Mishra Bhakti, bhakti is prominent, karma is secondary. Means you have some devotion to Krishna, that's primary, but also there is a secondary element of some attachment to some karma. In Jnana Mishra Bhakti, your bhakti is prominent, but you have some intellectual inclination. Overly philosophical, you have an intellectual bent. But in Karma Mishra, Bhakti Mishra Karma, karma is prominent. You are more attached to karma and there is some little devotion also as a secondary element. Similarly, in the ninth category, you have Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Their Jnana is more prominent. They are prominently a scholar, a philosopher, a researcher, and there is some Bhakti also. Then, 10th category is Bhakti Mishra Yoga. Your main focus is on attaining perfection. I want to attain this, I want to attain that. There is some little Bhakti. Okay, how many categories? 10 categories. Artha Bhakti, Jignasu Bhakti, Artharthi Bhakti, Jnana Bhakti, then Bhakti Mishra Karma, Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Yoga. Okay, 10 categories. You want more? Yeah, more? Okay, some more, you're right. Tamasic Bhakti. You write the list and then I'll explain. Tamasic Bhakti, 11th category, Tamasic Bhakti. 12th category, Rajasic Bhakti. 13th category, Tamasic, Sattvic Bhakti. Tamasic Bhakti, Rajasic Bhakti, Sattvic Bhakti. What is tamasic bhakti? Tamogani bhakti. Bhakti is not tamogani, but a person who performs bhakti is in tamogani. What does it mean to be in tamogan while performing bhakti? You are doing Shravanam Kirtan. You are doing bhakti. You are worshipping Krishna. But you want to answer this question?
Bhakti means of ignorance.
Correct, you're right. So what exactly is that ignorance? Tamogani means you take revenge on someone else. You are violent. You are not compassionate. A tamasic bhakta worships Krishna, but they have a tendency to take revenge on someone. They want to harm someone with their bhakti. They worship Krishna, but they desire someone else's harm. They cannot tolerate someone else surpassing them, more prominent than them. They become intolerant of other success in bhakti. They start envying them. They become jealous of them. Like if the envy is passively present in the heart, that's at one level. But that passive envy in the heart will become little more active and it becomes manifest in our words. Verbally, we criticize the devotees. We do Vaishnava Ninda. And we will not stop there. That verbal offense will become physical offense. We may actually harm them also. All these are tamogani tendencies. A Vaishnava is someone who has a clean heart, completely devoid of any envy or pride. If there is envy in the heart, that envy will not allow us to progress. That is tamogani tendency. And there is no compassion. Even if you see some other Vaishnava following, having some troubles, you just cannot extend yourself to help them, all they have the ability. If you don't have the ability to help them, that's a different thing. But despite having the bandwidth to help someone, you don't do anything. You don't extend yourself to help them. That means lack of compassion. That's all tamogani tendencies. Then second category is rajogani. Second means 12th category now. That is rajogani bhakti or rajasic bhakti. Bhakti is never rajasic, but the person who is performing bhakti may have some rajogani. What does it mean to have rajogani? They are very ambitious. They perform bhakti to outsmart others, to supersede others, to subdue others. They compete with others. They perform bhakti to expand their influence. They want to gain control. They want to suppress others. They want to oppress others. They want to conquer others. They want to establish themselves superior to others. That's their motives. That is like, my God, that's Rajasic Bhakti. They're very ambitious. I want to do this, I want to do that. All for Krishna only in one sense, but more than their affection and devotion to Krishna, what is prominent in them is their ambitious nature. They want to control everything. And on top of it, they compete with others. They try to supersede others. They want to outsmart others. To push their agenda, they can even sideline others. They disrespect others, they demean others. All these are rajogani tendencies. Then third category. You want examples? Initially, Dhruva Maharaj, when he performed bhakti, initially, he had some tamogani tendency. He was performing bhakti to take revenge on Surichi. He was envious of his stepbrother Uttama. And he also had rajogani tendencies because he's very ambitious. He wanted to attain a position superior to his great grandfather Brahma. That's passion. Ultimately, he should perform bhakti purely to please Krishna. But his intention in performing bhakti is not to please Krishna, to attain a position superior to his great grandfather Brahma. That's rajogani tendency. He was doing rajasic bhakti. Tamasic bhakti, rajasic bhakti, mixed he's doing initially. Now, what is the third category? Sattvic bhakti. Sattvic. Bhakti in mode of goodness. Do you think this is best? We are concluding with this. No, very good. Yeah, Sattvic, what's your name?
Sahib.
Sanvi. Oh, it's close. Sattvic Bhakti is close to your name. Sattvic Bhakti means bhakti in mode of goodness, where you desire happiness, peace, liberation. Right? You perform bhakti, you worship Krishna, you may do Sravanam Kirtanam, but your aim is liberation. I want to be liberated from all the cycle of birth and death. You want peace, you want happiness. That's your tendency. So that is called Sattvic Bhakti. But all these 13 categories of bhakti that we discussed are not the best forms of bhakti. Now there is a 14th category. There are many other subcategories. We'll not get into all the details. but the 14th category is pure bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, also called Nirguna Bhakti. What is the definition of this? Madguna Shruti Matrena Mayi Sarva Guhashaye Manogatira Vichinna Yatha Gangam Bhasambhudam. Madguna Shruti Matrena, just by hearing the qualities of Krishna, your mind runs towards Krishna. Just as Ganga, river Ganga, flows towards the ocean. Although there are so many obstacles and impediments on the path of Ganga, there may be so many cities and mountains and hills and villages and gardens and forests on the path of Ganga. Ganga manages to go through all of them and she will reach the ocean. Similarly, although there are so many obstacles or adversities or diversities on the path of a devotee's bhakti, devotee will somehow reach Krishna and serve Krishna. That is pure bhakti. Anya Vilashita Sungam Gnana Karmadhyana. A devotee has no material desires. A devotee has pure aspiration only to please Krishna. That is Shuddha. Is it right? 14th category is Shuddha Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti or Nirguna Bhakti. It is not tinged with any of the material modes. So when we perform such pure devotional service, we can transcend all adversities. We will not be affected by any diversity. So we perform pure bhakti on the side. If we belong to any of the first 13 categories, we will be overwhelmed by adversity to different degrees. And now, are you performing pure devotional service or the first 13 categories? We need to decide. Nothing wrong in being in any of the first 13 categories. Don't worry about it. Because once you practice bhakti, eventually you will definitely come to pure bhakti. Correct. As long as I was speaking about 13 categories of impure bhakti, I didn't get gathered. You also don't take this 13 categories seriously. Take some 14 categories seriously. The 14th category is best. Pure bhakti is the best. Where you may not have purity yet, but you are practicing pure bhakti. You are not pure yet, but you are following a pure path, and the pure path will eventually purify you. Clear? Sakama bhakti, nishkama bhakti. These are the other terminology. You want to add, you can add. Let's make it 16. That 14th you make it into 16. Right? 14th is pure bhakti, right? Shuddha bhakti. You push it to the 16th number, and in 14th number you write Sakama bhakti. In 15th number you write Nishkama bhakti. There is an overlap in all these categories, but just to make it 16, don't together. Right? Sakama bhakti means you perform bhakti with some desires, material desires. That can be any of the previous categories also. Nishkama bhakti means you perform bhakti with detachment. You have no desires. Sakama and Nishkama. But finally is pure bhakti. So when you say pure bhakti, you have absolutely no material desires. Your only desire is to please Krishna, and there is an intense attraction towards Krishna's qualities, Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Gunali. You have very great eagerness to understand Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's names, chant Krishna's names, serve Krishna's devotees, visit Krishna's dhams. So there is great eagerness to be connected to Krishna. That is pure. There is no desire for wealth. There is no desire to take revenge on anyone. There is no envy in the heart. There is no lust in the heart. There is no pride in the heart. There is no tamogani tendency or rajogani tendency or satogani tendency. There is unity in our consciousness. That is Shuddha Bhakti. Now, many of us are practicing that pure bhakti. We are not pure yet, but we are trying to practice pure bhakti, and that pure bhakti will eventually be realized. Even we perform sakama bhakti. Sakama bhakti means you perform bhakti with some material desires. Whether it is desire for wealth or name or fame, you perform bhakti with a desire, material desire. But that desire uh, will not stay with us for a long time. Eventually, bhakti will remain, sakama will disappear. When you begin with sakama bhakti, means when you begin practicing bhakti with some material desires, bhakti will destroy the material desires and bhakti will remain. Bhakti will give face. Example you want? Let's go back to Dhruva Maharaj example. Dhruva Maharaj began with what kind of bhakti? Which category? Huh? Tamogun and Rajogun also. He did Tamasic Bhakti, Rajasic Bhakti, combination of it. Of course, Sakama Bhakti also. He was also Artharthi. He was desiring wealth and position, right? He belongs to Artharthi category also. So Dhruva Maharaj belongs to many categories that we discussed so far. But by sincerely practicing bhakti, he came to the 16th category. He became a pure devotee. Right? He had Sakama tendencies, he had material desires, he was Artharthi, he was desiring wealth and position. He had Tamogani tendencies, he had Rajogani tendencies, but eventually he became pure devotee. So even if you begin somewhere, whichever is the first 13, 14 categories, eventually you end up in the 16th category. Bhakti will be your place. For that, we need to perform bhakti with determination. Ultimately, pure bhakti is performed without any expectation of results. Now, let's decide one shloka. Savai pumsam paro dharmo
Savai pumsam paro dharmo
Yato bhaktiradhukshaje
yato bhaktiradhukshaje
Ahaituki apratihata
aviridukila padvira
Yatma suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati
Savai pumsam paro dharmo, the supreme dharma of every living being is Yato bhaktiradhukshaje, to perform bhakti into Krishna. And that bhakti must be performed in two flavors. One is ahaituki, right? Ahai. Second is apratihata. Ahaituki means without any ulterior motives, without any selfish expectations, without any personal agendas, you perform bhakti. That is ahaituki. Second is apratihata. Without any interruptions, without any irregularities, without any inconsistencies, you constantly practice bhakti. That is apratihata. No motivations, no interruptions. Unmotivated, uninterrupted bhakti. Causeless, ceaseless bhakti. Selfless and seamless bhakti. Then heart is completely satisfied. Yatma suprasidati. Completely satisfied. So, but what if you don't perform bhakti in this flavor? Unmotivated and uninterrupted. You will not be satisfied. But between these two, which is more important? Ahaituki or aprati? Tell me. Aprati is important. Very good. Why? Yes, Gauranga. Why apratihata is more important than ahaituki to begin with?
I didn't really know. I thought it was a hype.
Apratihata means uninterrupted bhakti with consistency and regularity. Ahaituki means without any material motivations. Initially, when we perform bhakti, our motives may not be pure. We may not have sincere intentions. We may not be so selfless. But if we consistently practice bhakti, that consistent performance of bhakti will purify our motivations. Revise the example. Dhruva Maharaj began with impure motives, a selfish motives, a motive to take revenge on his stepmother, a motive to attain a position superior to his great grandfather Brahma, with some tamogani tendencies of envy towards his stepbrother, with some rajogani tendencies. Dhruva Maharaj's initial mindset when he began practicing bhakti was very impure. But the positive thing in Dhruva Maharaj's example is he consistently practiced bhakti. When Narada Muni told him chant this mantra, chant Hare Krishna, sorry, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Dhruva Maharaj sincerely did it. That sincerity brought in that purity. Initially, we may not have purity, but if we have sincerity, eventually we'll get that purity also. Initially, we are not ahitiki bhaktas, we are not selfless, unmotivated devotees. But if there is apratihata, if there is no interruption or break or inconsistency in our bhakti, our consistent and steady performance of bhakti will purify our motives also. 6 months consistently, Guru Maharaj performed bhakti, eventually he became pure. He became a Haitaki Bhakta. He began as an Apatihata Bhakta, he eventually became a Haitaki Bhakta also. Therefore, consistency in our sadhana is very important. Today I will chant 16 hours, tomorrow I will take a break. Sunday chutti. Not that way. You can increase your amount, but you can't decrease. So there should be consistency and steadiness in our practice. The steady and consistent regular practice of bhakti will purify our motives. That will eventually bring us to the 16 category that we discussed. Not make us remain in the initial categories. But whichever category you may belong to, whether you are selfish or revengeful or envious or desirous of wealth or desirous of liberation or desirous of relief from difficulties, whichever category you belong to, you begin the practice. Nobody is unqualified or disqualified to practice. Nobody. All of us are naturally, constitutionally, eternally children of Krishna, servants of Krishna. Aham bija pradapsita. Mamayamsho jivaloti. We are all amshas of Krishna. So our connection with Krishna, our relationship with Krishna is very natural to us. But somehow we are into doing so many material things. So when we start practicing bhakti sincerely, we pick it up very fast. It's there within us. Just like walking capacity is there within a child, but he has to practice walking. Eventually, he'll walk. He has legs. He's very small, they are unable to walk. They keep on walking, and one day you begin practicing, learning cycling. You may fall for some time initially when you are very small. And after some time, you will be able to easily ride a cycle. Same thing with bhakti also. Prabhu gives an example of walking in the nectar of devotion. So, there is a beautiful shloka on the second canto of Bhagavad. Akamah sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradhihi vrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Akama means you have no material desires. They're completely selfless. Second, sarvakamova, you have all kinds of material desires. Third, moksha kama, you are specifically desiring liberation. Whichever category you belong to, tivrena bhakti yogena, yajeta purusham param. You perform tivra bhakti, you perform intense bhakti and worship the Supreme Lord Krishna. Right? So that's the relevance of bhakti yoga for anyone from any background. So when we perform such kind of pure bhakti, then what happens is we become unaffected by the adversities in life. We become unaffected by the tribulations and allurements and temptations in life. They continue to exist. In short, the purpose of this speaking all this stuff is just to drive this point that it is bhakti that keeps us oblivious to or transcendental to the inevitable calamities and adversities in this world. Unless we sincerely take shelter of Krishna and perform bhakti yoga, we continue to be affected by adversities in this world. What protects us from being affected by adversities in life is performance. Tapatrayon Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramoha Nirmatsaranam Satah Vidyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Bhulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahavanikrute Kimva Parairishvaraha Satyo Hridyavarjyatra Kritihi Sustrushubistakshanah. One word in this beautiful shloka is Tapatrayon Mulanam. You study Srimad Bhagavatam, you follow the teachings of Bhakti from Srimad Bhagavatam, and that will uproot your Tapatrayas. That will uproot your threefold material miseries. That will uproot your adversities. You remain unaffected by them. They exist, but you're not there. Interesting, right? Just like in your laptops, there is this antivirus software, right? I don't know if it exists now. There is some virus, but you will not be affected by it. And the coronavirus was there 6 years back. Virus existed, but when people wear masks and sanitizer and other things, apron, virus will not affect them. Right? So, virus will exist, but you should remain unaffected by the virus. For that, you need to perform bhakti. It is bhakti that protects you. Sincere practice of bhakti. You are not pure yet, but your sincerity will bring in that purity in your mind, in your heart. So when you perform sincerely bhakti to the best of our ability, then we'll steadily progress, and that absorption in bhakti, that progress in bhakti will protect us from all kinds of adversities and difficulties and tribulations and kleshas. Okay. But the intention in performing bhakti is not to be relieved from these kleshas, relieved from these difficulties. The intention in practicing bhakti is to please Krishna, is to serve Krishna. Many times people, then if our intention is to be relieved from difficulties, we belong to the first category. What is first category? Artha Bhakta. They are relief seekers. We are not here to seek relief. We are here to seek service. We are here to love Krishna, not just be unaffected by the problems. Being unaffected by adversity is one small byproduct of sincere practice of bhakti. But the end product is pure love for Krishna. When you will enter a deep loving bonding with Krishna, relationship with Krishna, by practicing bhakti, that's the main product. And as a byproduct, you will be unaffected by adversities. Therefore, don't overly focus on these adversities. Shift your focus from relief from distress and shift your focus to pleasing Krishna. That's what bhakti is. Bhakti is not just asking something from Krishna. Bhakti is not just desiring something from Krishna. Many people will have a desire. Krishna, I want this, I want that, or relieve me from this difficulty. They express their desires in front of Krishna. But bhakti is not desiring something from Krishna. Bhakti is desiring Krishna himself. You want something from Krishna, you want Krishna himself. That's bhakti. Bhakti is not desiring something from Krishna. Bhakti is desiring Krishna himself. Bhakti is not offering something to Krishna. Patram Krishna Palam Toyam. Bhakti is offering yourself to Krishna. Offer yourself. With Atma Nivedana. Evening we have to speak on Atma Nivedana, right? Topics are also connected with these again. So you offer yourself to Krishna. And relief from material miseries is insignificant byproduct. Small byproduct. Let's not overemphasize on this topic. You gave me the topic, but I'm shifting your focus from the topic on something which is more important for us to focus on. Kunti Mata, she went through so many difficulties, so many adversities. Vishan Mahagneha Purushada Darshana Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Tukshata Mridhe Mridhe Neka Maharathastrato Draumyastratascha Smahare. Vishan, her children were poisoned. Bhima was poisoned when he was a small child. Vishan, Mahagneha. Their house was set on fire. Purushada Darshana, they were attacked by so many man-eating demons. Asat Sabhaya, her daughter-in-law was disrobed. Attempt was made to disrobe her. Asat Sabhaya, Vanavasa Tukshata. They went through so many difficulties in Vanavas. Mridhe Mridhe Aneka Maharathaspratu. During the Kurukshetra battle, my God, all these Pandava warriors were being attacked by so many great, powerful heroes with very powerful mystic weapons. Pandavas and Kunti Maharani went through so many difficulties, but you know what is Kunti Maharani's prayer? Vipadaha Santutaha Shashvat. Do you have the courage to offer the same prayer like Kunti Maharani? Okay. You decide, then I'll tell you the meaning. Okay. If I tell you the meaning, you may not decide. Then you decide now, then I'll tell you the meaning. Then let's see how many of you are ready for the second recitation. Vipadaha Santutaha Shashvat.
Vipadaha Santutaha Shashvat.
Tatra Jagadguru.
Tatra Jagadguru.
Bhavatyo Darshanam Yasyat.
Darshanam Yasya.
Punarbhava Darshanam.
Darshanam.
Yes. Vipadaha Santutaha Shashvat. Krishna, we went through so many reversals, so many adversities, so many calamities. Let them come again and again in my life. Anyone? Anyone wants more difficulties? Anyone wants to repeatedly undergo the same difficulties again and again in your life? Children, you wrote the test, for example. You're going to sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. Oh, okay. So you finished your writing seventh grade exam. You're going to eighth grade. Will you write seventh grade exam once again? Why? You already did it once. It was tough. He doesn't want to write the tough exam once again. The child doesn't want to repeat the tough exam once again, although he passed it. But Kunti Maharani says, let my son Bhima poison once again. Let my house be set on fire once again. Let my sons lose their kingdom again. Maybe wander in the forest again and again. Or maybe be attacked by this mystic weapons of so many Maharathis in the battle of Kurukshetra once again. She's asking. Apparently, it seems that may our daughter-in-law be insulted once again. What's right? Kunti, she's asking, Vipadaha Santuta Ashashvat, oh Krishna, let all these calamities come again and again and again. Repeatedly, Bhutta, Bhutta, Pralita. You may like some a rose flower, for example. You like rose, Kunti Maharani likes reverses. You may like Gulab Jamun, she likes difficulties. Is it like that? No. Kunti Maharani is not a lover of difficulties. She is asking for more and more difficulties because she is not a lover of difficulties. She is a lover of Krishna. Because whenever there is a difficulty, whenever there is an adversity, Krishna came and gave them support and darshan. Bhavato darshanam yasyat apunar bhava darshanam. Krishna, whenever we get your darshan, when we see you, you don't have to see this material world again. So, all the calamities and adversities that I underwent till now, that gave me an opportunity to see you. When Durvasa Muni came with his 60,000 disciples asking for meals, what did Draupadi do? Her Akshayapatra was empty. Then Draupadi remembered Krishna. Krishna appeared there. You know that story, right? Akshayapatra story. Draupadi remembered Krishna. Krishna appeared there. He said, I'm hungry. Draupadi, give me some food. He's very embarrassed. I'm struggling. I'm anxious that Durvasa Muni is waiting for his meal for 60,000 disciples. Now Krishna comes and says, I'm hungry. Krishna says, we have some food. You are not feeding me, Draupadi. If I have food available, I will not feed you, Govinda. So what do you think? No, you have some food, you are hiding. Is there an Akshay Patra? He said, no, nothing is there. See, Akshay Patra is empty. She kept Akshay Patra in front of Krishna. Krishna found a small piece of grain in one corner of the pot. Draupadi was thinking, I washed the pot nicely. Look at great washing. But how did you find a grain? Krishna took that grain and ate it. All the 60,000 disciples of Durvasa Muni, they had a feeling that they had a big piece of the neck or nose. They're rolling on the ground. And Krishna told Bhima, that's how they were. Bhima with his gala went on the bank of Yamuna. Durvasa Muni is ready. Durvasa Muni's disciples, they are waiting there with our banana leaves. Come. But they ran away from him. Saved Krishna, who saved Pandavas from this calamity? Krishna. Isn't it? So whenever Pandavas faces some calamity, Krishna came and supported them. Sometimes he relieved them from the calamity, sometimes he allowed them to undergo calamity, but whatever it is, they got access to Krishna. When Draupadi was being insulted by Dushyasan, Krishna immediately came in the form of a big saree, unlimited saree, long saree, saree avatar. Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Varaha avatar, saree avatar. So Krishna came in that form, and to access Krishna, to get darshan of Krishna, it's worth undergoing through all these difficulties. That is Kunti Mata's understanding. Kunti Mata is offering this prayer because whenever we went through some difficulties, adversities, Krishna, you are there for us. So, a devotee should see calamity as an opportunity to intensify one's dependence on Krishna, to increase one's remembrance of Krishna. Calamity is an opportunity. Adversity is an opportunity to see Krishna, to depend on Krishna, to realize that we are not the controllers. We are not the bosses. We are not the beers. Krishna is the beer. Let's be detached. So don't hate adversities. Let them come. You don't have to pray for more adversities like Kunti Maharani. She prays for more calamities. But anyone has the bandwidth here? Should I recite the shloka once again? So where is the one? Let's recite. विपदः सन्तुताः शश्वत् तत्र तत्र च गद्गुरो भवतो दर्शनं यस्यात् पुनर्भव दर्शनम्. It says that all these adversities come again and again because whenever we face the difficulties, Krishna, you came and gave us darshan. To get your darshan, it's worth undergoing those struggles. Okay, we will go through the troubles. Maybe see it. That's all. So we need to see adversity as an empowering opportunity to increase our dependence on Krishna and not get overwhelmed by it. Or worst thing is when we blame Krishna. Sometimes when you face difficulties, you say, God is not merciful. Why is he doing this to me only? I'm so pure. I have not done any mistakes. They have done all mistakes. I have done so much seva. They will do any seva. So we start entering this blame game. We start thinking that we are better than others or we are purer than others. Still we are going through some difficulties. There is some partiality in Krishna's management. There is some inconsistency in his treatment of devotees. Actually, when Krishna gives us difficulties, he loves us more. As an expression of Krishna's love in two ways. Right? When Krishna gives us difficulties, he's expressing his love in two ways. You know how? You are eager to know?
Yes.
How many of you want to know this secret? I'm building some suspense. When we are not pure devotees yet, when we are still struggling sadhakas, inconsistent sadhakas, or unsteady sadhakas, then Krishna gives us difficulties to make us more serious in bhakti, to make us more steady in bhakti. When there's a difficulty, then we feel a little more desperate and take shelter of bhakti more. If we are a little lax and complacent in our bhakti, Krishna is some difficulty. Oh, Krishna, yeah, anyatha sharanam. Because a sense of material security, a materially comfortable situation will make us feel, I'm happy, I don't need God. But whenever the material situation is a bit uncomfortable, we become more desperate and we become dependent on Krishna. That dependence on Krishna will kill us. So, Krishna, out of his mercy, he gives difficulties to devotees so that they become serious in their spiritual lives and they become detached from material world. Now you are convinced? When you get difficulty, that is Krishna's mercy. Misery is Krishna's mercy. How many of you are convinced about it? Misery is a mercy of Krishna. Are you convinced?
Yes.
Whenever you are undergoing misery, that's mercy of Krishna. Clear? That's an opportunity for us to come closer to Krishna, to become more dependent on Krishna. So see misery as mercy. That is maturity. Maturity in spiritual life is to see misery as mercy of Krishna. But immaturity in spiritual life is to see misery as neglect of Krishna. Or to misunderstand Krishna when there is misery. Or to doubt Krishna's intentions or integrity when there is misery. Oh, Krishna is misery. He's giving you misery. That means he has bad intentions. He's partial. He's not loving. He's not caring for his devotees. He gave you misery only to test your bhakti, only to make you more serious in bhakti. He loves you, therefore he does it. Why devotees undergo suffering? They are chanting Hare Krishna for 15 years. Why they undergo suffering? There's the reason. The reason is they are not serious enough. To make them serious enough, Krishna gave them some trouble. So that they are little relieved from all distractions and they focus more on their bhakti. When a teacher gives tough exam to a child, is the teacher satisfied? I'm asking about ideal good teachers. Huh? Some Calcutta teachers are like a professor in our college. I cannot take the names and vacation. Let it be suspense only. He used to take great pleasure in giving very tough exams to the students. And when they're struggling to solve the problem, he has a broad smile on their face. He smiles with pride. And when they are unable to do it, when they're checking the papers, he scrutinizing checks. And while giving answer sheets back to the student, they say, what did you do? What kind of, and he laugh, he'll mock, and he'll take great pleasure in it. There are some professors like that. We're not talking about them. We're talking about some genuine teachers who give some tough problems, a tough question paper to the students to really test their understanding, how much they understand the subject. Right? When you're in 8th grade, if your mathematics answer is mathematics question paper is 2 plus 2 equals to dash equal to, and 2 into 2 is what? Now 5 minus 3 is what? That's not 8th grade paper. That's first grade paper. Don't expect easy question paper. Let's do some little difficulty in the exam, then we will understand how much we understood the subject matter. Similarly, when we are practicing spiritual life, everything is not easy going. When we undergo some difficulties, we will understand how much maturity and how much detachment we have in our spiritual life. Because detachment should be a product of devotion. But when we are undergoing some difficulties, we are blaming Krishna, if we are blaming circumstances, if you are envying those devotees who are in a better situation than us, it's immaturity. We are comparing with others, competing with others, and getting negative, holding grudges. My God, that's immaturity. To test our maturity, Krishna gives difficulties. Right? To make us more desperate and more prayerful, to make us more dependent on Him, He gives difficulties. That's first reason. What is the second reason? Say you are already a pure devotee. You are a mature devotee already. Pure devotee. You don't misunderstand Krishna when you have difficulties. Still Krishna will give you difficulties. Why? To declare how faithful a devotee is to the holy world. Although I made this devotee undergo so many difficulties, this devotee did not give up his faith in me. Did not give the path of bhakti. Did not lose trust in me. Did not doubt my intentions or integrity. Is such a faithful devotee. Krishna wants to set an example for the whole world through a faithful devotee. All the Pandavas went through so many difficulties, they never gave up Krishna. That shows how much Pandavas love Krishna. Sita Mata, although she was subjected to so many temptations and allurements by Ravana, she never gave up Ram. For one full year, she maintained her consistency and she was completely dedicated to Ram, always remembering Ram. That shows how much she loved Ram. And Ram could have married millions of Sitas in Sita's absence. But he said, Ekapatni Vartadhara, I will not marry anyone. That shows how much Ram loved Sita. So that separation for 1 year between Ram and Sita revealed how much Ram loved Sita and how much Sita loved Ram. And the whole world understood how much they loved each other. Similarly, when a devotee undergoes difficulties and still doesn't give up faith in Krishna, then the whole world will understand how dedicated this devotee is towards Krishna. And to reveal your dedication, to reveal your faith, to reveal your commitment to the path of bhakti, Krishna will give you some difficulties. That's his law. Shall I tell you one more reason why devotees undergo difficulties? One more reason. Exactly. Say you have not done any mistake. One reason is devotees also sometimes do mistakes. Practicing devotees. They have anarthas, they have aparats, they do seva aparat, they do nama aparat, they do dhamma aparat, they do guru aparat, they do Vaishnava aparat. Vaishnava is very prominent. Because they are doing so many aparats, criticizing Vaishnavas, ridiculing them, backbiting them, all this stuff. Krishna gives them some token punishment. You are offending my devotees? Okay. Take this headache, take this fever, take this corona, take this financial distress, whatever it is. He gives some distress so that we become more sober. So Krishna gives difficulties to a devotee when they do some aparats. And devotees, practicing devotees also have some traces of anarthas. Still some lust is playing, still some greed is there, still some, what is that, illusion is there, anger is there. So because of these different unwanted tendencies, anarthas within our hearts, to purify of those anarthas, Krishna sometimes gives us some difficulties. That's a purification. He loves us. Just to purify us, he gives some difficulties. One more reason why. Say you are already pure. You have absolutely no anarthas. You have not done any aparats. You have complete faith in Krishna. You don't lose faith in Krishna in any circumstance. Still Krishna will give you difficulty. You know why? Yes, Sandy, you know why? You're very honest. So Krishna will give difficulties to those people who are completely pure also, because Krishna is preparing them to become counselors in future. Preparing them to become mentors in future. What does it mean? Say, if I have not undergone any difficulty in my life, if some new devotee comes to me saying that I have this difficulty, I won't be able to understand them. I can't empathize them. It's beyond my jurisdiction to help this devotee. They came to you genuinely to take guidance, but to offer some guidance to them, you need to have some experience, right? If you are not experienced a flavor of difficulty, how can you guide someone who is undergoing a difficulty? To empathize with them, to sympathize with them, you should have some personal experience. Therefore, although you are already pure and genuine, Krishna will still allow you to undergo some difficulty so that you can empathize with people who may come to you in future with some difficulty. What it makes sense? Does it sound logical?
Yes.
Krishna is preparing you for a greater service. One of the greatest services that we can do to Krishna is connecting common people to his lotus feet. Bringing people closer to Krishna consciousness. So for that, sometimes you have to hear their problems, you have to give some perspective in their lives. Thus, you need to help them in their Krishna consciousness. Make their faith steady. For that, you need to empathize with them and sympathize with them and understand their problems. You will be able to effectively understand their problems when you have undergone that same problem. So to prepare you to serve them in a nice way, Krishna gives you some difficulties, some experience. You want an example? In the olden days, kings used to send their sons, princes, to the forest, go and perform some austerities. Darshan had sent his 11,000 sons to the forest to perform austerities. They are princes. They have access to all the ministers and servant maids and soldiers and servants to assist them in so many ways in royal palaces. But still, these sons of this great kings, they go to the forest, live in a simple hermitage, or serve some guru, wear some simple tree bark clothes, and perform austerities. Get up early in the morning. Why do they have to do all these things? They are already having royal facilities. Because every citizen in a kingdom is not a multi-millionaire. They undergo some basic trivial difficulties. If the king never has experienced that simplicity in life, austerities in life, he won't be able to sufficiently understand the problems of some poor citizens in his kingdom. To empathize with the poor citizens in his kingdom, the king should have an experience of poverty in his life. Therefore, the kings used to send their princes to the forest and allow them to experience a poverty-stricken life with basic or meager or no facilities, so that they can treat all the citizens properly. They can rule all the citizens properly. Does it make sense? Yes. So whenever you are undergoing difficulties, Krishna must be having one of these reasons. What are the reasons that we discussed so far? Why Krishna gives difficulties to devotees?
To depend on them.
So that their dependence increases. Very good, Radhika. Next. Gauranga.
Small miracles.
They may have some anarthas and apras. Excellent. Yes, Manjita. Third reason. Yeah, Jitish.
Censorship.
Mentorship. Third reason. Very good mentor in future. Yes, Jitish. Then anything else? Adults. To glorify them, to expose their faith. Yeah. To set an example, correct.
To be more faithful on Krishna, like for Krishna to be like okay.
Correct. Yes.
For the society to know about their own devotees.
Doing serious bhakti and taking shelter of Krishna closely.
Correct. Very good.
Maturing.
To get maturity in bhakti. Yes. Anything more?
Like personal experience so that like they can empathize with like
Correct. Mentorship. He said it very eloquently. Yes, mentorship. When you have personal experience, you can guide others nicely. But without that personal experience, you guide them, you'll mess up their lives. It's violence to give guidance without experience. Don't venture into giving some guidance to other people without sufficient experience. Experience, not necessarily personal experience, at least some experience of witnessing things, understanding. So, actually, this one thing, Krishna is preparing ourselves for a future service is an important point. Just as kings used to send their children to the forest to live with meager facilities, parents also should sometimes allow their children to experience very meager facilities or no facilities, right? Shouldn't you agree? Whatever you want, your parents should supply. No? These are all your desires. If they fulfill all your desires, whatever you want some gadgets or whatever toys or some special. Agree? Should parents supply whatever you want, or should they starve you sometimes? Starve means not food. If they say no, you no to you sometimes.
sometimes yes, sometimes.
Conditionally is accepted. The parents should not spoil children by giving them too many luxuries beyond their necessity. That's what we discussed yesterday morning also. And even if parents are supplying, kids should have the simplicity to say, no, I don't need this. If there's self-control, they say, I don't need this. You don't give me this. Agree? Can we agree? You have no option. Later we'll understand how much you agree with this. Anyways, these are some facts. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, takeaways, objections, confrontations? Wonderful class. You surprised why Prabhu is not admitting kids first. You see, okay.
I don't know, I got my.
Yeah, you can speak. Let kids wait for some time. Yes, you can speak.
So upon the same topic, I know lots of incident where the one particular who is very much supportive.
Without my
Actually. So he's supporting very much. But all his he lost his son and he was so desperate and is nearby also we have one city who is the leader who is doing whole preaching that things in Corona time he had lost his wife. Now it's no more what he does. So when we have such adversity, it's very tough to deal with it. I see lots of such scenario. Financially means like we gross very devotee are supporting everything, but still nothing else. How you make me if the Krishna want to do the taste or something when what extent
We experience Krishna's love through those who love us unconditionally. With our material senses, we cannot access Krishna at this moment. We cannot directly experience Krishna's love and affection. But there are other, I can't say indirect, direct ways only of experiencing Krishna's love. That is through the affection of other devotees. When we are undergoing some adversities and difficulties, devotees come to support us, to guide us, to be with us. I know during Corona time only, one devotee in India, he lost his father. And somehow the family members are not very much excited with his taking to Krishna consciousness. But when his father departed, in 150 or 200 devotees came and performed Harinam Sankirtan at the time of departure of his father. They came to crematorium also. His father's body being burnt also. They went, they assisted this devotee in all kinds of arrangements for the ceremony, including prasadam serving and all that. All the family members got a shock. Why? Who are these 150 to 100 people? Why did they come to our home? Why are they taking the responsibility of all arrangements? For this, we are supposed to do this. And the family members are like maybe hardly 500 people. They can't do everything. But this 200 devotees cannot support. That shows that when we undergo some difficulty, inevitable difficulties, the death is inevitable. Either you die at 70 or 50 or 20 or whatever, death is inevitable. Right? So when such a calamity comes, we experience the support of Vaishnavas. We understand how much they love us, how much they care for us, how much they support us. So through that support given by Vaishnavas, we understand how much Krishna loves us. We can taste Vaishnava's mercy, Vaishnava's empathy. Sometimes we may have difference of opinion with another devotee. And very serious of difference of opinion. But probably when you are in great difficulty, he is the one who may come and help us. You don't know. Therefore, that let's not hate anyone. You may maintain distance. Yesterday we discussed incompatibility, maintain distance and all that. But that is respectful distance. But the person whom you have hated or you have disliked always, maybe he's the one who will chant Hare Krishna for you when you are in your last moments. It's not worth holding any grudge or any negativity towards any Vaishnava, whether the seniors or juniors or youngers. Don't hold any grudge towards anyone whatsoever. So we experience Krishna's love and affection for us through Krishna's love and affection for us, Guru's love and affection. So whenever we have calamity, there are some people who are supporting us. Through that we experience, we understand Krishna loves us. Basically, Krishna will not treat us according to our expectation. Krishna will not treat us as per our desires or expectations. He will treat us according to what he thinks is best for us. Child may cry, why my mother is not doing pasta, pizza, ice cream, ice cream. Mother says you some ice cream falling from your nose. Ice cream in your mouth. He knows what is good for her. So don't suspect Krishna. How can I understand this is mercy? That's a terrible situation. But it's not that misery is mercy. Many people raise hands. Do you raise hand at the time? When I ask this question, do you understand misery is mercy of Krishna? So we need to have that perspective, and we will get that perspective to the degree we regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Seva. Bhagavad is filled with examples of Vaishnavas who underwent tremendous amount of tribulation. What mistake did Amrish Maharaj do? Suddenly, Draupadi comes and kills him, tries to kill him. What mistake did Draupadi Mother do? Our troubles are, generally speaking, our troubles are insignificant compared to the troubles faced by these pure Vaishnavas. We are not pure only. Where is purity? Do we have Draupadi's purity? Do we have Yudhishthira Maharaj's purity? Do we have Arjuna's purity? Do we have Bhishma's purity? Do we have Amrish Maharaj's purity? Do we have Parikshit Maharaj's purity? All these pure devotees underwent tremendous amount of calamities. For insignificant mistake they have done. We have done significant mistakes in this life and in the past lives. And we are getting insignificant punishments. And we are blaming Krishna is not merciful. So, by regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we will be equipped with the power to see our miseries insignificant and see those miseries as results of Krishna's mercy. And is it digestible? Relatable? No. Let Krishna reveal it. That's all I can say.
I agree with that. In such scenario, to give the knowledge or something to it's not, but to help or to do serve, that is lost. So simple.
One day we need to accept it. Yes, definitely when somebody is undergoing some emotional distress, philosophical reconciliation may not happen effortlessly. They know philosophy also. Even before you speak the philosophy, they know it. They're aware of it. After spending few years in Krishna consciousness and reading some books also, because they are aware of at least foundational philosophy. But that philosophical reconciliation is insufficient sometimes to relieve oneself from the pain, especially the pain of departure of a beloved one. But we have to accept it. Arjuna had entered Bhagavad Gita. But when Abhimanyu died in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was devastated. That pain is there. See, philosophy is not meant to kill our emotions. Philosophy is meant to regulate our emotions so that we don't become dysfunctional by being overly emotional. We are not denying emotions. Emotions are important. But that emotion should not make us dysfunctional. Arjuna was extremely emotional. Despite hearing entire Bhagavad Gita directly from Krishna just few days back, Arjuna became extremely emotional when Abhimanyu died. The emotions are valid. But did he give up or he continued battle? So being emotional is not the problem. Being dysfunctional by being overly emotional is the problem. And philosophy is not meant to kill those emotions. Philosophy is meant to regulate those emotions. So when you have to support someone who underwent some difficulty, philosophical reconciliation is one step, but give them that emotional support also. We are there for you. Just like when Srivas Thakur's son died, you know what Lord Chaitanya said? I am your son. Nityananda is your son. So we need to offer them not only philosophical or intellectual support, we need to offer them emotional support also. But the reality is we cannot undo whatever has happened. Acceptance is non-negotiable. We have to accept. You do the needful to make them accept. If philosophical discourse is making them accept, do that. If emotional support is making them accept, do that. Financial support is making them accept, do that. But we need to bring them to the stage of acceptance. There's no other way. There is no controlled option or commanded option if you're using that. We have to accept. Some things are non-negotiable. Does it make sense? Great. Yes.
Thank you for the wonderful class. I really like the flow of the class. Started off with karma activities and going to eventually to the 16 points of happy and philosophy. Probably on the distress part, just continuing with the question. Is there an absolute definition of distress, difficulty, misery, calamity vis-a-vis what is being just unfortunate? Or is it just relative to person to person?
It's follow destiny.
Is there an absolute definition for what is a distress, what is a difficulty, what is misery, and what is a calamity, vis-a-vis what is being just plain unfortunate? And if the, or is it just
Related to each other. English is
Okay.
English is not my first language. To me, all of them are synonyms only. Distress, difficulty, calamity, reversal. It's just a dictionary for ask ChatGPT for finding the differences in these words. Or Kalesha. Let's put them under the umbrella of Kalesha.
So, thank you for the beautiful class. I had questions regarding.
Does it sound beautiful to you? Okay, it's okay.
So I had question regarding, because, now some people are not able to become maybe, brahmacharis or devote their life, Krishna consciousness completely. They have to work in this world. So do you call that kind of thing as karma mishra bhakti? Or is that under karma mishra bhakti?
If somebody is not doing some,
If someone's working in this world and also doing devotional service to us, like a Grahastha devotee, is that
somebody Maharaj is a Grihastha devotee. Is he Karma Mishra Bhakta? Yudhishthir Maharaj, is he Karma Mishra Bhakta? Bharat Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, Swayambhuva Manu, are they Karma Mishra Bhakta? Janaka Maharaj, are they Karma Mishra Bhakta?
but sometimes it
In
kind
the
of
universal spiritual history, Grihastha Vaishnavas are 99.99%. Brahmacharis and Sannyasis 0.01%. You can go to Srimad Bhagavatam and see the statistics. So, just because somebody is in Grihastha ashram, that does not mean they become Karma Mishra Bhakta or anything like that. So, it all depends on the sincerity of the devotee. Just because somebody is in Saffron Club, that's not necessarily they have become pure devotees. Right? Bhakti doesn't depend on ashram. Bhakti doesn't depend on varna. Bhakti doesn't depend on age. These kids are way advanced devotees. Bhakti doesn't depend on gender. Bhakti doesn't depend on nationality. Bhakti doesn't depend on wealth, philosophical background, scholarship. मन्ये धनाभिजन रूप तपश्रुतौ जहते जह प्रभाव बल पौरुष बुद्धि योगाः नाराधनाय हि भवन्ति परस्य पुंसो भक्त्या तुतोष भगवान् गजयूथपायम्. All this dhana, abhijana, rupa, tapa, shruta, oja, teja, prabhava, bala, paurusha, buddhi, yoga, all these 12 material qualifications are neither qualifications nor disqualifications for bhakti. For the mercy of Krishna. There is sincerity in our purpose. We are bona fide, qualified, authorized candidates for Krishna's mercy. Everything is about it. Which ashram you belong to doesn't matter. Which country you are staying doesn't matter. There is sincerity. Does it answer the question?
also, Prabhu, can you kindly elaborate on Nishkam Bhakti? I think that was something I was confused.
It's not simple. There is detachment. You are performing bhakti without expecting any results. Opposite of Sakama Bhakti. Sakama is he has a material desire when practicing bhakti. Nishkama he has no material desires. That can be equated to pure bhakti also in certain contexts. But some people, some bhaktas, detachment is more than bhakti. That's the problem. Devotion should be prominent in detachment. They're so detached that even if there's a possibility of engaging something in Krishna's service, they don't take up that possibility. So detached. It's called Falguvai. Prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastana. Bhakti should be prominent. Detachment is an accompaniment. If detachment becomes more prominent than devotion, then you are not pure devotee. Yes, Jyoti. She's waiting for a long time, very patiently.
Should I say my favorite takeaway?
Yeah, please. Be
My
loud.
my favorite takeaway was that we should see an adversity as an empowerment to seek and take shelter of Krishna.
Yeah. Very good.
I don't know if this is like a takeaway. But like I like the chart of like you study, like you get knowledge, and then you have inclination to serve
Okay,
Krishna.
Vidya.
Yeah,
Kam.
save land.
Shiva, very nice, Sita. Yes, Dora.
I really like the points that you talked about today. Shines and like how you talked about diversity times it, like dealing with others is like harder than even adversity sometimes. And I like how you talked about the systems like this productions and those pretty related working. My favorite part is probably like
One is sufficient. Anyway, go ahead, go ahead.
my
The reading is whole notes.
because I first thought it was picky, but with the mark example, I honestly.
Consistency comes before purity. Ahitaki bhakti is having pure intentions in bhakti. Aprajita means being very consistent and regular in bhakti. So consistency comes before purity. You may not become pure overnight, but when you are consistent in your practice of bhakti, eventually you become regular. Yes, Anita.
Prabhu, my favorite takeaway was when you said that bhakti is not desiring something from Krishna, but it is desiring Krishna. So.
Very good.
So my favorite takeaway was like out of mercy, Krishna is like the self-made, so that we can like closest to him and like the way bhakti.
Thank you. Children are very attentive. Yes, Prabhu. Let's go to the next generation.
Thank you for the wonderful class. It's really helpful. What I think is like after all these gazillion jivas that are there in the world, we should be worthy if we think that Krishna is giving adversities as a, I mean, to purify us or for any reasons we talked about, right? But we discussed that Krishna is giving this for any reason, like to purify us or to give example to the world that we have faith in stuff. But what I'm thinking is, isn't this what we saw in past? That we are getting time delayed response. But whatever we did in past is the calamity or the distress that we are getting. We don't get out of nothing, right? So our previous karma that's coming in. So
Yesterday we discussed elaborately. Yesterday evening. The same topic. What we are getting is the result of what we have done before. Yes.
So if we think that these adversaries are coming because of Krishna's mercy, then we must be worthy to be for him to see us. Because after gazillion jiva, he's seeing us to give some adversary. Right? Otherwise, we have to assume that it's coming from past only.
Because he asked this question, or we may share this point, let me give one more dimension. Karmis, they don't practice bhakti. For them, the cause of suffering is karma. But bhaktas who practice bhakti, for them, the cause of suffering is not karma. The cause of suffering is Krishna. How? Karma nirnahati kintu cha bhakti bhaja. When you begin practice of bhakti, even in practice stage also, your karma is burned to ashes. Then why does the devotee suffer? Karma is not there. Krishna gives them suffering in response to their aparats and anarthas. So when you have already started the practice of bhakti, you are under Krishna's custody. Whatever gains and pleasures you are undergoing in while practicing spiritual life, pure bhakti, they are given by Krishna. Krishna orchestrated those events in our life for our purification. But if someone is not practicing bhakti, for them the reason for suffering is their own karma, past misdeeds. But a sincere devotee feels that although they are practicing bhakti, they feel that I am undergoing these difficulties as a result of my past misdeeds. Tatyena kampam samikshamaano bhunjana eva atmakapam vipana. But technically speaking, those difficulties are personally sanctioned by Krishna for the purification of this sadhaka. And pure devotees, they also suffer. They have no karma, they have no anartha, they have no aparat, still they suffer. They suffer not for purification, but for glorification. Krishna wants to glorify them. Krishna wants to show them as bright, effulgent examples of dedication and full faith and commitment to the path of bhakti, despite undergoing so many calamities. So three categories. Karmis suffer because of karma. Sadhakas suffer because of anarthas and aparat. Pure devotees suffer by Krishna's plan, so that they set an example. No.
Grace Gauranga Darshan